college football week 1. We have real games to talk about. Not that week 0 wasn't real. They were real. They were something. Man, I am so sorry to all of you. I didn't make this a show pick, but I was one of you who that bad beat on the total. The amount of people that were just crushed by that.
Not us.
Hey, it was a show pick to go under, though, baby.
Yep.
Don't pretend
So,
like
baby.
you crushed it, though. It was literally you were a football length from not
Crushed.
making that pick.
Hey,
Crushed.
scorecard doesn't care how you get the par, baby.
That's right.
It was a mess. Anyways, let's make some people some money this week. Let's talk about college football. Before we do, I just want to remind everyone that we are partnering with RotoViz now. If you're unfamiliar with RotoViz, they are a really great fantasy football website offering a ton of tools to help you be successful with your fantasy football leagues. We also use them. We talked about in our NFL episode for some player prop betting and some fun stuff, just good player data in general. They are a great partner. We like being with them. So yeah, go check out RotoViz. If you're listening to us on RotoViz, go follow us on YouTube and Instagram. And other than that, we're going to jump in. We're going to jump in to college football week 1. We have a lot of picks, so I just say we not waste any time with this. And we just get this going. I actually think I might have the most picks, which is funny because I don't consider myself the college football guy on this podcast. But I'm going to start with Stefan. Why don't you kick us off with whatever combo, wherever you want to start the conversation? I'm going to let you take us there.
Well, I'll start with the pick I have for Thursday, since Thursdays.
Same.
You're probably listening to this on Thursday because we're recording this Wednesday night. So Nebraska plays Cincinnati in Arrowhead. Who is a Cincinnati alum who happens to play football in Arrowhead?
Oh,
The
TK,
Kelseys.
who just got engaged.
The recently engaged Mr. Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Mhm.
So all the hype and circumstance around that, Nebraska's going to come in there and kick some ass. I mean, I really do expect Nebraska to take care of business. They had a pretty rough go at times last year. The defense really struggled. I think we see a huge increase in just efficient defense. I think they're going to get off the field a lot quicker than they did last year. On offense, Dylan Raiola enters his second year. They bring in a pretty fun group of wide receivers. I believe all of us were on Nebraska for the win total to go over. This is one of those.
Yep.
This is one of those that we circled as they're going to beat Cincinnati. So my first part of this play is just Nebraska on the money line. I'm going to parlay that with a Friday game, and this one does hurt me just a little bit. I'm going to take Georgia Tech to come in here and beat Colorado. Colorado is at home. I think Boulder's going to be crazy. But Georgia Tech has, they have an identity. And that's something that CU offensively, we have no idea what's going to happen. We all anticipate there to be a pretty significant shift to a more run-focused team. I think they could do that. I don't know if it's going to happen week 1. I think CU is the kind of team that's going to grow into the season. When I went over CU's win total this year, we all leaned over. I think it was an official play for both of you. This was one of those games that we said, even if they don't win that, they can still hit their over. I don't think they do. I think Georgia Tech wins here. So my first play is Georgia Tech and Nebraska, both to win. We get it at plus 112.
Yeah, I'll keep going with early games, and I won't say anything else about Cincinnati. I have Nebraska in a money line parlay as well. What could go wrong for the show if we're all picking Nebraska? So I'll just keep with Boise. I got Boise on the other side of that. So if you parlay Boise and Nebraska to both just simply win, you get that minus 105. Boise's going to Tampa to play USF. USF's not that great of a team. I think this is one that I just had circled. You go back and listen to our preseason episodes. I have just wins for Boise against USF, and I have a pretty strong win for Nebraska against Cincinnati. So they're both on Thursday, and that's kind of my only reason for putting these two together, because I like both of them, and you get to watch 2 games on Thursday night and have something to cheer for and see the results on Thursday night. So those are my Thursday. That's pretty much my Thursday betting is going to be these 2 teams, and that's it. I'm not going to go into any data on Boise and USF. I just think it's a win for Boise, and we already talked about Nebraska. Mike, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I've also got Nebraska on a leg of a parlay, and I'm not going to add anything there either. I just think Nebraska is the better team, and I think that's going to show. And then I'm also going to take another better team on the money line, taking South Carolina at home in the cockpit against Virginia Tech. Those together, you get it at minus 116. Fast forward to the SEC preview show, or fast forward to rewind. I love South Carolina this year. They are a team that always comes in one way or another exceeds expectations. Sellers was a stud last year as a freshman. I think he's going to only improve. He threw for 2,518 and then added 7 more rushing touchdowns on top of that. And then Dylan Stewart, that man's just a problem. Like on defensive end as a true freshman last year, give him another year and he's just going to cause more chaos. So I don't think there's a chance Vatek has any chance of coming out with this one. So Nebraska money line with South Carolina on the money line.
Beamer Bowl, baby.
Somehow. I was really close to combining those two things as well. I like that quite a bit. What could go wrong with parlays? Honestly, y'all, like I care about our show record. I really do. I don't care about it as much as I care about Nebraska losing football games. So if Nebraska screws all of this up for us, I will absolutely love it. Like if I go bet $100 on each of these and I lose $300, worth it. Worth it.
Money well spent.
I would pay $300 to watch Nebraska lose every single week of my life. All right, we are moving on from the Nebraska hate. We're gonna save Texas Ohio State game for some more discussion because I think that's a fun one. That's the big game of the week. I'll go ahead and dive into my next one. I'm gonna give a shout out to our fallen comrade, our fallen friend, Sean, who I know listened to us and was like a supporter of what we did here. We all worked with Sean at a previous workplace, and Sean passed away from colon cancer in December. Sean, we miss you. I have nothing to say about this game except go Tigers with an EAUX. And I'm taking LSU on the money line to go into Clemson and get this win. I actually do like LSU. I don't know if I really broke this down like logically that I would make this bet, but like I do like LSU and I don't think this is a crazy bet. So I'm doing this in memory of our boy Sean. It's the first LSU game that I've will be watching since he passed. So y'all have any thoughts on the LSU Clemson game though?
I do. It didn't make the card, but I like the first half under 28.5. I think this game is one that people have kind of highlighted as a potential shootout. I mean, a huge game, like ACC, SEC. This is going to be one of the building blocks that someone's going to use for their playoff arguments, and we get it week one. It's super exciting. Dabo in these big games, he tends to play conservative. Both these teams, I mean, LSU is bringing in a whole new offensive line. I think Clemson's one of their strengths is that defensive line. We talked about them in the preview. I could just see this game getting off to a slow start, maybe only 14-14 at the half before it blows up in the second half. Who's going to be running the ball? LSU really struggled to run the ball last year. Can they get some balance in that offense? Because when it's all on Garrett Nussmeier, he tends to throw a lot of interceptions. Meanwhile, Clemson, they've been building in a different way. This is the year they've been building to. This is Cade Klubnik coming out. This is Wesco and TJ Moore. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for. But I do kind of think big game Dabo slows things down, waits, and then pounces on that in that second half. So I like the first half under 28.5.
It's gonna be a fun one to watch.
It's gonna be good.
I'm excited. Before we get to the next big game, though, I realize there's kind of two like really big games. It's that LSU Clemson, Texas Ohio State's like 1 versus 2 is obviously the biggest one. Let's Stefan, why don't you hit us with another pick before we do that? Before we start talking the next big game here. We got a few more games to get to before we build up to that.
Yeah. I know Mikey has a play on this game too, but I think this is a low-key big game. Like this is another
agreed.
SEC going to the Big 12, Auburn going to Waco. It's going to be rowdy again Friday night. It's going to be electric in Waco. It's going to be a fun game. Auburn is a team that I am super high on. If Jackson Arnold is broken, I am going to lose a lot of money on Auburn this year, but he has every reason to succeed. He has one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country with Cam Coleman and the Georgia Tech transfer, Eric McAllister.
Eric
Singleton. God damn it. I knew it was Eric. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this Auburn team. And if they are who I think they are, they have to beat Baylor. I don't care if it's on the road. I don't care if it's week 1. I know Aranda's taking over the defensive play calling. That could be tough. Baylor could punch up. I mean, this could be any outcome wouldn't surprise me. But more often than not, I think Auburn wins this game. I'm just taking them on the money line, even though the line is 2.5. I just want the win in case something gets squirrely. You get that at minus 135. So that's how I'm playing it.
Yeah, I love it, man. Like, no doubt that Sawyer Robinson's a dog. But defensively, Baylor last year, even when they finished well in that stretch, the only defense that they played that was ranked better than 70th in points allowed was Houston, and Houston held them to 20 points. Auburn's defense last year was sneaky good, and they didn't do a whole lot to get significantly worse this year. So I like the defense to step up here. I'm also massively in on Jackson Arnold. Oklahoma had one of the worst offensive lines in football, and now PFF has Auburn's offensive line ranked as 7th. Like, he has everything around him that he needs to succeed, and if he doesn't, he's just simply a bust. I've already got a side piece on him to make the playoffs. So I'm just going to put my money where my mouth is and take him here on the money line as well.
Yeah, if they're going to make the playoff, you got to win this one, right? So
have to. If you don't win this game, that side piece is out the door.
Yeah,
if the SEC is the best conference, Auburn needs to beat Baylor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm going to hold you both to that when we're texting about it later.
You already got my soapbox this weekend.
I know. We're just arguing your Mike's SEC elitism. All right, let's move on. I have a couple Mountain West and smaller conference plays that I want to cover, and then we will get back to the SEC and then talk about the big game last. Let's talk about some Mountain West games. So as you all know, like, betting against Colorado State is the bane of my existence. Like, I'm a Colorado fan and they are little brother, and I don't hate them as much as Nebraska, but they're up there on just the annoyance level of how much I don't like them. That being said, CSU consistently books major teams to go on the road and play, and they are always a pain in the ass in the first half. Like, they get to halftime and you're always looking at a CSU score and you're like, how is CSU within single digits of this like massive school? Not only that, they ended the year really well last year, really strong. They return Fowler Nicolosi, who's their quarterback. The kid is a total punk, but like he can scrap. And I think just week 1 at Washington, everyone's shaking off the rust. Like, CSU is just that team that kind of comes in and is just a real pain in the ass the first half. They might get blown out in the second half. I don't think Washington, though, is like some massive powerhouse. I do think they're going to be much better this year. And I think CSU can go in and cover 12.5 in the first half. So that's my pick. CSU 12.5 first half. You guys have a lot of Mountain West football opinions?
None.
That was exactly the reaction that I wanted. All right, so we're going to move to one more Mountain West pick before we go start talking about major conferences again. I'm going to go ahead and take Utah State.
I will say there were a few on the board. None of them made the final cut.
That's fair. Utah State -6 feels like the biggest. I don't know what's happening here playing UTEP. Like, Utah State playing UTEP should be an absolute blowout. At Utah State. It absolutely should be. I know Utah State needs to bounce back. They just took Bronco Mendenhall from New Mexico, and we saw what he did with Dampier last year. And his team doesn't play a lick of defenses, but this dude is such a good head coach, and what he did with just like the most depleted New Mexico team last year was impressive, and I think he's back. Utah State's a very respectable Mountain West school. UTEP plays in Conference USA. Like, this is one of those things that I'm like, I don't think most people think about this kind of matchup and think there's a big disparity. There's a huge disparity between the Mountain West and Conference USA, right? Conference USA is much lower of a conference, and UTEP went
so
3-9.
much so that Conference UN.
Oh, sorry, say that again. Someone said so much so, and then it disappeared.
Oh, I was just saying so much so that the Conference
Right. And so
Conference USA winner could go undefeated this year.
Yes. And totally missed the playoff, right?
I'm gonna bounce off. I'll be back.
It's okay. I missed you.
Yes.
We had you stall for a second, but I appreciate the backup on the Conference USA trash talk. That look, guys, a 3-9 season last year, a Conference USA 3-9 team going to play a Mountain West school that's back on the rise with a really great coach. Give me -6 all day. This might be my favorite bet of the whole weekend is Utah State -6 against UTEP. I absolutely love it. All right. I know y'all absolutely love talking about these tiny conferences.
All I'm going to say is Bryson Barnes had some really good games for Utah when he was here. He was super inconsistent. Don't get me wrong. But when he gets in scrap mode, he can also scrap. So I'm with you on this. I like this a lot.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite pick that kind of just made me scratch my head when I saw it was this Utah State line. So I'll take it -6 against UTEP at home. Yeah. So, all right, let's move on from the small conferences. I always love that stuff. Let's go ahead and move back to the SEC, and then we'll talk about the big game. Stefan, you actually have 2 SEC picks for us.
Yes.
Where do you want to start?
Well, one of mine includes South Carolina, which Mike, you talked about them as a leg. I got South Carolina on the money line as a leg to a parlay as well. I just think they have a lot more talent than Virginia Tech. They're going to be at home. That defense is going to shut down Virginia Tech, I believe. The other side of this is I'm going to take Alabama -6.5 as the other leg of that parlay, which I kind of feel silly doing because I think they're going to cover 13.5 anyway, and I'm tempted to ladder it to like 17.5, 20.5. Like I think Alabama crushes Florida State. There is a huge talent disparity between these two teams. You can see it in just the size and strength across the lines of scrimmage. Alabama is projected to have one of the best, if not the best, offensive line and defensive line combination in the country. You add on, yes, they have Ty Simpson, a new starting quarterback, but what great team this year doesn't have a new starting quarterback?
Yeah.
You bring back a super talented wide receiving core. Yes, they are down their starting running back. Jam Miller is injured, but they have so much depth in that position. I don't think it will be a huge hiccup for them. So I think Alabama absolutely crushes Florida State. Yes, Gus Malzahn, the offensive coordinator now for Florida State, can maybe herald back the days of Auburn upsetting Bama, but I don't think that's going to happen. Tommy Castellanos was fun for DFS purposes, and he probably will still get rushing yards. We saw what Vandy was able to do with a running quarterback against this team. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I think Alabama pulls away pretty comfortably here. So I'm parlaying Alabama -6.5 and South Carolina on the money line.
Yeah, if you go back to our SEC preview show, I said if Alabama nails the quarterback decision, I think they go over, and I think they certainly nailed the quarterback decision. Ty Simpson, former 5-star, he's been there for what, like sitting and learning for 3-4 years at this point. Like it's his first time starter, but he's also still kind of a veteran in a lot of ways just from being in the program for that long. So, yeah, and I'm so out on Castellanos. Like yeah, we'll stop there.
I think we got some of that hatred in the preseason. Stefan, what about you? Had another
part. I have another SEC team that I want to talk about. We're teasing down Tennessee to -6.5. Another team that I think will cover. They're playing Syracuse. Fran Brown did such an amazing job with Syracuse last year, but they also had a lot more talent on the team. They actually had players drafted to the NFL last year. I don't think many of their current players are going to be drafted to the NFL. The talent disparity between these two is huge. Yes, Nico left. Nico was good. He had a lot of mistakes in him. What really led this Tennessee team last year was their defense. Their defense is going to show out. I like Tennessee to hold Syracuse team total under 17.5. That's one way I'm looking at playing this. But for this parlay, I'm going to take Tennessee -6.5. And then I'm going to go over to the Big Ten and grab Indiana because I needed a way to play Indiana. One of the things I love about Curt Cignetti, first of all, he's 22-11 against the spread as a head coach. That's fantastic. But if you look at him as a favorite, so you look at him last year, you look at Curt Cignetti as a favorite, he's 9-1 against the spread as a favorite. And you know what Curt Cignetti loves to do against mid teams or bad teams? He likes to score points. How many points? Lots and lots of points. 40 points, 60 points. He doesn't care. If he can get you, he's going to get you because he knows at the end of the day, it makes a difference when it comes to playoff rankings. So we're going to take Indiana team total over 34.5 against Old Dominion. Old Dominion's kind of a fun, sneaky little team. They're not keeping them under 40. So we're going to parlay Tennessee -6.5 and Indiana team total over 34.5.
I love that. Man, we got a lot of like fun parlays happening, a couple straight up bets. It's a lot of fun. Let's talk about the big game, number 1 versus number 2. We got number 1 Texas versus number 2 Ohio State. We have conflicting opinions. I'm gonna be honest, I don't have that strong of an opinion on mine. I'm just going with trends. But I think we all have some passion. I know Stefan has some passionate thoughts on this game. I'll just start us off. I am literally just taking Texas money line for one reason, and that is that first-time starters, which Julian Sayin is, sophomore though, I was corrected by Mike yesterday, are 0-18 against when they first start is against the number 1 team in the country. So that's it. That's all I have. I understand. I get it's like at Ohio State. I get like he's at home. I get this one national title. I will throw in though, like the one thing I'll hang something on is like we talked a lot in preseason about like, and I've heard a lot of people say how much Ohio State lost to the NFL draft. So like week 1,
Texas didn't.
No. I'm just saying that's what I've heard the big argument was, and at least Arch Manning has more experience than Julian Sayin. Maybe not a lot, but he does have more. And so I am just saying that's it. That's my only argument. I'm only betting this because of that record. I'm gonna bet it until it's not true.
So my only problem is with that trend. There's no nuance to it. Like it doesn't take into account that it's
zero
going against the number 2 team or the defending national champion or all the rest of the returning production, or the fact that their team themselves, while being ranked number 1, also are starting a brand new quarterback.
Yeah, so this could be Kent State's quarterback starting against Alabama is probably included in this.
Like, yeah, exactly. But I will say one of the things that does make me nervous for Ohio State, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Yes, they're from, the system. Well, Matt Patricia being brought in, but Hartline has been there. He's called plays before. I think to me, I just can't imagine anyone. I mean, obviously, you've already said this, like being super confident they know what the outcome of this game is going to be. Because I could see a blowout in either direction, in all honesty, or a close game. I could see this not being competitive at all. Like both teams have such a wide variety of outcomes for this week 1. We still have to learn so much about these teams with all the players that have gone and at key positions. But I do lean Ohio State, and I do lean under. This is another one of those that I wanted to do the first half under for. I think that I'm on all the big games. I think I'm going to do a first half under. I just think these teams are going to take a little bit to get going. I think they don't want to put their quarterbacks in a real tough spot. I think we see them try to lean on those big offensive lines that are supposed to both be really great. So I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be fascinating to see what actually takes place in this one, because I have no clue.
Yeah, I agree with all of the above. I am playing the first half under 23.5. You could take it up to 24.5 if you want to get above the key number, but I'm just going to 23.5. I mean, it's going to be really hard as young and fresh as these quarterbacks are to come out and get kicking immediately. You've got all of the preseason hype that's been building up, all of the anticipation from the offseason. Like, I just expect both teams to try and slow things down to start the game to build some confidence and then start to go up tempo from there. And that's just a great recipe for going under. So yeah, first half under for me.
Just have to hope we don't have those crazy like turnovers and muff punts like we saw
no defensive
to start out that Iowa State Kansas State game. That stuff kills it under. Stresses me out.
I just want to finish because I have to follow up on I'll finish this episode with following up on a promise that I can't this week, which is there are no lines for Western Kentucky and Northern Alabama.
That's right.
I, for the rest of this season, have to make a pro Maverick MacGyver pick. I'm unable to do so this week. I will be back next week betting on Maverick MacGyver in some way.
One quick thing, because I think we should hit just for a second Notre Dame, Miami. What are your thoughts on that game? Notre Dame road favorite -2.5. The total's at 49.5. I bet this under when it was 51.5 a couple of weeks ago. I texted you guys about that. It's dropped 2 points now, so I'm not betting it. But I do lean the under in this one. Another game where so much, like, talk about new quarterbacks yet again for these teams at least. Both teams want to rely on their offensive line and their defense. I totally expect this to be heavy running the football, crystal ball, and the under to hit. So do you guys have thoughts on this one?
I'm not playing it. I lean Miami to win it. I think.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I do think Carson Beck comes out recognizing that he well underperformed last year with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder this year. And I mean, maybe this is a bold statement. I think he's got better skill position players around him than he did at Georgia this year. You just can't be successful with the number of drops that Georgia had last year, offensively or as a quarterback. And then that was when Carson Beck got in trouble, was when you would have these drops. He'd get put in bad positions and he tried to force something and then he gets picked off. So I think Carson Beck has a bit of a bounce back year this year, but I'm not playing anything pro Miami until we see this come into play first.
Yeah. What's the didn't ESPN do a document? Is there a name for this? Like Catholics versus the Convicts? Wasn't
yeah, that's right.
90s?
Yeah,
great name. Great name. I feel like I've just been hating on Notre Dame a little too much. I like kind of had an epiphany. I was like, man, what are you like? Look, I don't think Notre Dame's win a national title ever. But I do think I've kind of hated them a little too much this season. So I'm just not betting it because honestly, I feel like I went through other people's schedules and saw Notre Dame and was like, oh, they can probably beat Notre Dame this year. And like, that's not realistic. Like they're going to still win a bunch of games. So I'm just like staying away from this. So, all right. Any other games? Anything y'all want to talk about? All right. Good. Well, again, we're missing out on Maverick MacGyver. Sorry to everyone who tuned in for that. Let's go through our picks. Before we do, I want to plug again RotoViz. We are partnering with RotoViz for all your fantasy football needs. Go check out RotoViz. If you're listening to us on RotoViz, go check us out on YouTube and Instagram, especially. Those are kind of the two main places. Anywhere you get your podcasts as well. So, all right, let's talk about college football week 1. I will start. Give me a parlay of Boise State and Nebraska to both win. That'll get you at -105. I'm going to take Texas on the money line to beat Ohio State. I'm going to take LSU to beat Clemson at +150. Give me Colorado State +12.5 first half. So cover 12.5 in the first half at Washington. And then give me Utah State to cover 6 against UTEP. Stefan, what do you got?
I'm going to parlay Georgia Tech money line and Nebraska money line at +112. I'm going to take the Indiana team total over 34.5. Tees with Tennessee -6.5 at +100. I'm going to take Alabama -6.5, parlayed with South Carolina on the money line at -123. And finally, Auburn on the money line versus Baylor at -132.
I am also on Auburn on the money line at Baylor. Then give me the first half under at Texas, Texas at Ohio State. First half under 23.5 -110. And I'll wrap us up with Nebraska on the money line plus South Carolina on the money line at -116.
Lovely. Let's go make some money on college football. We have our AFC preview episode out here shortly. We'll also have a different NFL NFC episode coming soon. Check out soccer. We'll have soccer episodes, all kinds of stuff. We're hitting prime sports season, and we'll be having this stuff for you weekly. All right. We will talk to y'all later.